deal with anybody like Lion King? Okay, so anybody seen Lion King 1.5? Great movie. So what's the deal anyway? What's the deal, by the way, with Lion King 1.5? You know, what are they putting fractions now in movie titles? What is this? What is this, math? But if I want to let
I keep it playing while some choose to play it safe. Watch check the resume is risky business in the AA. And I've been witness to this history.
What are some of the annoying things that people tell you when they find that you do comedy?
I guess one of the obvious ones is like, oh, you do comedy? Tell me a joke. And I don't do that, but there's been times where I actually go through and I'm like, hey, you know what? This time I'm actually trying to tell them a joke. And then I tell them a joke, and they just stare at me. I'm like, see, that's why I didn't tell you a joke in the first place. You know, it's a different setting, but I guess people don't understand that. Or another thing is when I don't tell them that I'm not going to tell them a joke, they're like, well, if you can't perform in front of us, how are you going to perform in front of people? But I've been doing comedy for 2 years. I've already performed in front of a lot of people. I'm drunk. Is that affecting my interview?
No.
Okay.
I hope not.
When people tell me, or when I tell people that I do stand-up, it's usually the worst reaction ever, which is typically excitement. Sounds good initially, yes? But then usually they'll either ask one of the 2 cardinal sins of asking you what you do. Number 1, tell me a joke. That is the most homeless response that you could possibly say to that scenario. One is, tell me a joke. Okay, yes, I'm gonna tell an actual joke that required a lot of preparation, a lot of stage time, and a lot of mechanics, and I'm just going to tell it to you, random stranger on the street who's probably high. No, that's not how it works. If you want to see me do jokes, come see me at a comedy club and support live comedy. That's always very frustrating.
I think the worst advice you get is from people who say that they do comedy, but you never see them doing comedy. So then their advice is automatically shitty because they think they're professional, but I don't see them out grinding like I do, or at all. You know. I think one of the shitty advice is telling people to do anything that's different from them. If like you have to do what you think is funny, even if what you do is shitty, you know. Even if you do shitty comedy, you have to do what's true to you. If shitty comedy is your thing, you have to do that because otherwise it's not right.
Sometimes people say something along the lines of, oh, are you gonna do your little skits tonight? It's not skits. I'm not in the Boy Scouts, okay? I'm not at a church fundraiser doing a little sketch about John 3:16, okay? If you're gonna say skit, that's offensive. Just say, are you doing stand-up tonight? I'd like to come see you. I'd like to support it. That's all you need to do. Don't be offensive in any other possible way.
Yeah, somebody told me that I should do a lot more movement on stage. I'm on stage, I'm too still. But that person doesn't know what comedy is. And neither do I, so, you know, who's to say what the rules are, I guess.
Well, for example, I had somebody tell me, oh, like, there's Jerry Seinfeld has this Pop-Tart joke. You should do a Pop-Tart joke. Have you ever had something like that?
Yeah, no, I had some guy totally told me to do one of Dane Cook's jokes. Like I don't think he gets how it works. I can't just do his exact joke on stage. Or people ask me, do I write my own material? Like, yeah, I do. There's no other way to do comedy. But I guess my friends just don't know what comedy is.
Typically when people give you advice, they're oftentimes drunk or stupid, so I typically completely neglect it and forget it entirely almost immediately. I have gotten some advice. People say, hey, you know, you should be like SNL, you know? Did you see SNL? I'm like, yeah, I've seen SNL. You should just do some stuff like SNL, man. That's great. Whenever somebody says, hey, you should be like something that's an institution and very famous, That's very, very offensive and ridiculous. Don't say, hey, I watched this episode of Community, it was really great. You should do something like that. Yeah, I'm going to do a television show on stage? What are you, high? Just come see it and you'll experience it yourself. And unless you do it, don't give advice. I would say that's my bitter, cynical responses. Unless you do comedy, don't tell me how to do comedy. I don't tell you how to be a realtor or whatever it is you're doing.
Comedy just another art from like any other art form. People aren't going to understand your art. They're going to tell you to do something else until your art catches on. But then they're going to tell other people to do more like you do. So it depends on how it is, you know. Like there's musicians right now struggling how I am. People telling them to be more like this artist or like that artist, but they just stick and true to what they do, and eventually they die or they get signed to a record label. Yeah. Thank you.